What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma if you're new here, and I love to talk about all things Peloton cycling and fitness, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post every single Sunday. Today's video is going to be a continuation of the series of doing a deep dive into an instructor. I just did Cody Rigsby last week, and it seemed like a lot of you guys in the comments wanted Robin Arzón to be the next instructor that I covered. And honestly, I had already done a lot of research into her, and her life is absolutely crazy. So I'm very excited to give you a summary of how she got to where she is today. Of course, there's definitely some missing parts, which I'll get into when I get there, but she has definitely done a lot of press. There's a Wikipedia page of her. There's a lot more information out there about her than a lot of other instructors, which makes my job easier and it helps us get to know her a lot better. And then after I cover her, I'm going to be doing 4 rides that I consider very Robin-esque, and I'm going to do 2 today and 2 tomorrow. So let's just get right on into it. Robin Arzón was born in 1981, which means she turns 40 this year. And she was born in Philadelphia to a Cuban mother who was a doctor and had taught herself English by watching CBS, which is crazy, and a Puerto Rican father who was an attorney and a law professor. Growing up, Robin was not athletic. She didn't play like a bunch of varsity sports. She wasn't the crazy athlete that we see today before us, which I think is also interesting that her family was very academically focused, which makes sense growing up with a doctor and a lawyer as parents. But it is interesting that this was something that she really pursued later in life compared to a lot of other people who start doing athletics at a very young age if they're going to do it professionally. She has a pretty normal childhood. There's not a ton of information out there. It doesn't really pick up coverage until she goes to New York University in New York City for undergrad, where in the summer of 2002, so she would have just turned 21 at this point, she was at a bar where there were gunmen that had taken hostages, and somehow she had become like the main communicator between the hostages and the police, which is crazy. And essentially the situation was diffused, but I can only imagine how terrifying that entire situation would be and how stressful it would be. And she kind of cites that as her main reason of getting into running afterwards, that if she was in that situation again, she'd want to be able to kind of like physically fight her way out of it, or I guess get away, run away. So that's really what caused her to turn to running. She started running more regularly, getting more fit. So then she goes to Villanova University for law school, which is in Philadelphia. And one day when she's in Philadelphia, she sees a flyer for a charity 10K run the next day for MS, and her mother has MS, so she's very passionate about this cause, and she decides to run it. And I think she even states in one article that at that time she didn't even know how long 10 kilometers was. She was just like, I'm going to do this, which obviously it's easier than like a half marathon or a marathon, but 10 kilometers with no training is definitely not something I would advise you to do. But she did it. I guess she enjoyed it. She said that she struggled through it, and since then she's run 20 marathons, including 5 in 5 days, which is crazy. And she's also done ultra marathons, which is like running up and down mountains, running super far. It's like 100 miles. Basically, if you're running an ultra marathon, you are crazy. You are super fit, but it's just insane that you're putting your body through this, and it's just something that you have to train for so long and be so prepared for. I would say that 10K definitely sparked something in her, and ever since then she's really been a huge runner. So then Robin graduates law school. She's still on this lawyer path while she's also just this crazy fitness person too, and she becomes a litigator. She moves to New York City. She's taking a lot of classes and certifications on the side. She becomes an RRCA running coach, an NASM personal trainer, a Schwinn spin instructor. She also joins a group called NYC Bridge Runners, where they basically just run around New York City. They run across bridges, they run under bridges, they really just run around everywhere. And this seems like a really great group of people. There's a lot of pictures of them like on her older social media of doing these events, so you can tell that she really likes it. And then eventually she decides to quit being a litigator. She sees kind of 2 paths ahead of her, that she can either commit to all of this fitness passion that she has, obviously, or keep being a litigator, and she decides to pursue fitness, which I think is also really cool that she could have such a big career change later in life. And it just shows that no matter how old you are, I mean, she wasn't like crazy old when this happened, but no matter how old you are, you're never like locked into something, even though she went to law school and probably struggled a lot to get through law school and to become this litigator, that she could still give that up to pursue something that she had become more interested in. So in 2012, she quits her life of being a litigator and she's ready to commit to all of these different fitness things. So she does a lot of different stuff. She had already started a Tumblr the year before called Shut Up and Run. That still exists today, but she doesn't really post on it anymore. And that had a bunch of running content. So it seemed like she was trying to build an online following. She also has a YouTube channel that just kind of has a bunch of random stuff on it, including a very good Nike commercial for their fly knit shoe. I think that she must have been sponsored, or she just wanted to show that she could be sponsored. But it's definitely an interesting video. I'll try to link it down below. I just think it's funny to like go back and see this. It's also interesting. I feel like because she's so famous now, I would probably go back and delete all of that stuff, but I like that it's still up. It's cool to see that she tried to be an internet celebrity and that didn't work, and then she found this other path with Peloton, and now she is like a big celebrity anyways, so it all worked out in the end. She also becomes a fitness class instructor, which seems like a pretty predictable path for her because we know where she's heading, and she also becomes a fitness journalist, and she actually gets to cover the 2012 Olympics in London. So I'm sure that was a really cool experience for her. Then in 2014, so she is age 32, she gets diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. A lot of people would have kind of given up the fitness dream at this point. You can definitely still exercise and be fit with type 1 diabetes. And she was running like 100-mile marathons, and your body needs to sustain yourself over that time. And that's definitely not an easy thing to do. So she had to work very closely with her doctor to make sure that she could still do all of the fitness things that she wanted to do while remaining safe and not wearing out her body. Around the time of getting diagnosed, she also read about this small fitness startup, Peloton, and thought that it was super cool and contacted the CEO, John Foley, and said, hey, I want to be an instructor. So she obviously tried out, got the job. She joined Peloton in 2014 and has been there ever since, but has kept doing pretty cool things on the side since she joined. So she wrote an entire book called Shut Up and Run, which is branded as an interactive fitness guide and journal. And I definitely want to read that. I think that it would probably be very interesting. I personally find Robin very motivating, so I feel like her book would probably be some good fitness motivation. She also films a 60-minute documentary called Run, and it is filmed by Tara Darby, and it's about her 5 marathons in 5 days that she does, which is also crazy. That's like 130 miles. I can't even imagine doing one marathon and then just getting up and doing another marathon and then doing that 3 more times. It just shows how insanely fit Robin is. And then my personal favorite is she actually does this show for National Geographic called Migrations, and it is a herd of 20 Americans that join the wild beast migration across Africa. 200 miles of brutal terrain, survived against predators and have no compass or map, limited food rations, and I guess they just film the whole thing and see how it goes. I tried to look to see if I could watch this online somewhere, and it didn't seem like I could watch it anywhere for free, but if you know, definitely let me know. I'd be very interested in watching this. I can only imagine it's crazy. I also read an interview with her because she was vegan at the time, but I'm pretty sure she like had to break her dietary preferences because I don't even know how you would get through that just being vegan, but it just sounds like overall such a crazy time, and I can't believe she did it. I can't imagine doing that. It's just so insane, but that's definitely my favorite thing that Robin has done in her life. I just feel like that is such a crazy experience. She was also interviewed after the fact, and she was like, yeah, the other people also had like super big personalities, because obviously anybody that is going to follow the wild beast migration of Africa for 200 miles definitely is going to be strong-willed. So I just feel like it was probably such a cool experience. And Robin comes back from her migrations trip, and in 2016 she gets promoted to vice president of programming at Peloton, where that is still her position today, but she's also an instructor. I will say it's not very clear how she made that transition, because I'm sure a lot of other instructors were also interested. I think that having her law background probably helped a lot, but I couldn't find a lot of information about how she had made that transition. But honestly, good for her. And then after that, it's pretty quiet. She's just an instructor at Peloton. She's also the VP, so I'm sure that she has a lot of work to do. The next biggest thing I could find is in 2019, she marries her current husband, Drew Butler, and they met in a speakeasy in 2016. So they had known each other for 3 years. It's unclear how long they had been dating, and they just have this insane wedding. They said their inspiration was Burning Man, but in Mexico. It included a 5K, vegan food, sunrise yoga, and it just sounds like it was a really great time. The photos are absolutely beautiful. Most recently, her and Drew just had their first child that they named Athena Amelia in early March of this year, and now she's on maternity leave. She has posted a lot of Instagrams with Athena already, and Athena is beautiful, and she seems very, very happy to have the time off with her. Besides that, Robin also became an Adidas ambassador, and she starred in their Here to Create campaign in 2016, and she co-founded a biannual magazine called Undo, which is a publication created to expose a lifestyle of fashion, fitness, and community. She was featured in it when this first came out, but it's unclear if she's still involved or if she just has so much other stuff going on. The magazine still exists, but it's unclear her connection to it now. So that was everything that I could find on Robin. I just think that she has such a crazy life, and just how that moment in the bar with the hostages was such a life-changing moment for her, and how she had turned to fitness after that, randomly decided to run a 10K because it was a charity that she really believed in, and then ultimately became this crazy runner, quit being a lawyer, and really got to pursue something that she's just super, super passionate about. So now that I've given you the deep dive, I'm going to get into my favorite part, which is the rides. So I picked 4 different rides that I think encompass Robin really well. First off, I think her biggest series is the Together We Ride rides, and these rides are just pretty motivational. I haven't taken a lot of them, but I'm actually going to retake one of the ones I've taken, which is where she announces that she's pregnant, because that's just such a big moment in her life. And that is the 30-minute Together We ride from Robin from September 11th, 2020. And it's just a bunch of pop music. I know her husband comes in at the end. It's just a very feel-good ride, and I feel like this series is kind of just a feel-good motivational series, and I think that it is basically the only thing that she continuously does that I would consider like a unique ride to her, a unique series. After that, I'm gonna do the 30-minute The Greatest Showman ride from November 16th, 2018. This is actually currently her most popular ride on the platform if you like sort by most popular, and I've never taken it, and I do love The Greatest Showman, so I don't know how I ever missed this ride, but I'm very, very excited to take it. I've actually been saving it for this video, so excited to take that. And then tomorrow I'm going to be taking Tabata, because I feel like when I think of Robin, I think of Tabata, and I think of how hard they are. So I definitely think that she is known for her Tabata classes. And then I thought it would be fun to try out her prenatal classes that she's been offering lately. Obviously not anymore. She definitely filmed a lot of content when she was pregnant, and I feel like they should just be kind of low impact rides, but I'm excited to check them out. They'll probably be a nice break after the Tabata, but I'm going to be doing the Tabata and prenatal tomorrow. So let's just get right on into the Together We Ride and the Greatest Showman ride. I really liked both of those rides. The Together We Go ride is definitely not that hard. It's mostly about her announcing that she has a baby on the way, which definitely makes sense. I think if you're a true fan of Robin, you should take the ride. It's really cool to see her enjoyment from sharing this announcement with everybody, and now it's cool that she just had the baby to go back and retake it. But definitely not a hard ride. A lot of people can do it. I think that she made it that way so that everybody could kind of join in with the celebration. And then her husband comes in at the end, and she's just so surprised. I think that it's so funny because earlier in the ride she's like, oh yeah, like he's probably at home on the leaderboard, and it's like, no, he's in the studio surprising you. But normally the Together We Go Far rides are just pop rides, motivational rides. They're just a good time if you're looking for some motivation. If you like Robin, I would highly recommend them. And then the Greatest Showman ride was super fun. I was debating between Greatest Showman, Lizzo, and Hamilton are kind of her 3 most favorite like themed rides, and I've taken all of them now, and I definitely like Lizzo the best. I put the Lizzo ride in my top 10 favorite Peloton rides of all time, but I think that the Hamilton ride and the Greatest Showman ride are both still fun. If you like either of those musicals, you will like the respective rides. If you don't like those musicals, you will probably not like the respective rides. But this one was good. It was definitely a grind. It was a little harder than I thought it would be. I feel like all instructors were kind of harder in like the 2018 era of Peloton, and now they've kind of made it a little bit easier so they're more accessible to more people. But I don't know if that's just like confirmation bias because I've taken harder, older classes. Let me know if you think that that is true or not, but overall her themed ride was super good. As always, she is very motivational. Those are my 2 rides today, and I'm excited to continue with 2 more Robin rides tomorrow. I haven't taken a Robin ride in a very long time, and she used to be one of my favorites, so I definitely need to get back into her. It is now the next day, and I'm ready to just get right on into my 2 last Robin rides. So I'm going to be doing a 30-minute Tabata ride from August 6th, 2020. This is her highest rated Tabata ride. It also has a 9.2 difficulty, so I think it's going to be pretty hard. I've never taken an easy Tabata ride, so we'll see how this goes. It is like a very big mix of music. We got some DJ Snake, but we also have Janet Jackson and Aerosmith. So I think that it will be a very interesting ride, a large array of music, a very hard ride, and I'm excited to take it. It's been a while since I've taken a 30-minute Tabata class. I usually try to tack on like 15-minute Tabata classes because Tabata is really hard, but I am definitely excited. And then after that, I'm going to be taking a 20-minute prenatal HIIT ride from February 5th, 2021. So Robin came out with a bunch of prenatal content. I'm not exactly sure what makes content prenatal versus non-prenatal. I mean, she's pregnant, so maybe that's it, but I'm guessing it's going to be easier, probably less out of the saddle work. Maybe it will be very reminiscent of a low impact ride. We'll see, and I'll let you know what I think after I finish the ride. I'm pretty excited just to take it, just to try something new, and it seems like mostly pop music. I see Little Mix, I see Kesha, Beyonce. It seems like it will be a fun ride, and I think it'll complement the hardness of the Tabata ride to have a little bit easier of a ride afterwards really well. So let's just get right on into both of these rides, and I'll be back with my thoughts. I really liked both of those rides for very different reasons. The Tabata ride was super hard as expected, but I liked the way that it was structured. Basically, at the beginning, you did like 60-second intervals with 30-second recovery, and then you did 40 seconds intervals with 20-second recovery, and then at the end, you did 20-second interval with 10-second recovery. At the beginning, it was a little bit easier because you were doing the intervals for longer, and then at the end, there were really hard pushes, but they were only like 20 seconds long. I will say the last interval we did, she was like 60 to 70 resistance while like 80 to 90 cadence out of the saddle, and that's just so unattainable for me, so I just like did less. And then she kept saying like, oh, add a point, and it's just like, yeah, no. But I feel like I've gotten more at peace when instructors say stuff like that. I just ignore them and do the interval as hard as I can go. And she also said that she was going to offer this class every month so that this would be like a really good checkpoint. It would be like a 30-minute Tabata ride with different music and like a new class, but it would be the same kind of intervals. So you could benchmark yourself to see if you're improving, which I thought was really interesting and a really good idea. Obviously, she doesn't do that anymore because she's on maternity leave. But if she comes back and starts doing that again, I would definitely consider just to do that, because I feel like committing to take a 30-minute Tabata class once a month, I can do that. I can commit to that and then see if I'm getting any better. And then the prenatal HIIT ride, at the beginning, they like had a warning, and it was basically like, be careful, you're pregnant. So that was funny, I guess. It's interesting that they decided to put that in. And then honestly, it was harder than I thought it was going to be, but it was still pretty easy. I thought that it would be about the same level as a low impact ride, but I would actually say that it was a little harder than that, and I actually like this class more than low impact rides, because with low impact rides I get kind of bored because usually there's not a lot of intervals, with the exception of Just King low impact rides because those are super hard. But normal low impact rides, I feel like are a little bit boring and they're really focused on recovery almost, while this ride was definitely not as hard. So if you don't want to do a super hard ride, but you still want to have intervals, you still want to have pushes, I would actually really recommend this prenatal hit ride. I don't know if they're all like this, but I didn't really feel like you had to be pregnant to enjoy this ride. She did talk about some like pregnant breathing, but I pretty much just ignored that. And then it was a pretty basic hit ride. The pushes weren't super hard, but I was on the upper end of her intervals and I was still breaking a sweat. Like, it was still a good workout for me. And if you're interested in getting into hit, but you're kind of intimidated by hit classes, because they are intimidating if you've never taken them before, I would highly recommend trying one of these classes because I feel like they're a really good introduction. I was really pleasantly surprised by that prenatal class. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something new about Robin, or maybe got some class inspiration. I know I haven't taken Robin in forever, so it was really refreshing to take some classes from her. And it also just shows how big her range of classes is. Like, it's crazy that she has these prenatal classes that are great for pregnant women or beginners, and then these Tabata classes that are super hard for somebody that really takes cycling seriously, and then fun classes like the Greatest Showman ride, and motivational classes like the Together We ride. So there's really just something for everyone with Robin. Leave a comment on who you would like to see next. I'm not just gonna do this video every single week though. I'm gonna mix in some of my other content. I just thought that when I did Cody, I was like, I already have done a bunch of research on Robin too, so let's just do her next. Also, I plugged this in my last video, but I started a cycling Instagram where I'm trying to post like Peloton inspiration content, and it is just Emma_cycle. So go follow that. I'd love to connect with you guys there. Some of y'all have messaged me, and it's super fun to be able to like DM with you guys and talk about Peloton. I hope you guys are staying safe, having an awesome week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!